Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
The Philippine Coast Guard continues its search in Taal Lake for the missing Sabongeros. Officials said the operation will be extended to other areas of the lake in the coming days.
The Education Department announced that all classes will shift to modular or online learning under Storm Signal number 2.
11 more Filipino crew members from the attacked MV Magic Seas in the Red Sea have arrived in the Philippines.
Park Seo-joon delights Filipino fans at Araneta Coliseum during his much-anticipated fan meet.
First in the news, the Philippine Coast Guard said no new evidence was found on the third day of its search and retrieval operations in Taal Lake for the missing Sabongeros. It added that operations will continue in other parts of the lake in the coming days. Here's the report.
At a depth of 50 to 70 feet, the technical diving team of the Philippine Coast Guard discovered the sacks on Saturday, the second day of their search and retrieval operation. This site in Laurel, Batangas was identified by whistleblower Julie Dondon Patidongan as the alleged dumping ground of the missing Sabongeros. Underwater footage shows the sacks covered in mud. According to the PCG, to prevent the contents from spilling during recovery, the sacks are wrapped in nets and sealed inside new sacks.
Common sense lang naman yun na pag inangat mo at may opening, it might fall out, no? Hindi natin mape-preserve yung integridad ng mga nakukuha natin sa bottom.
The official insists that no evidence is being planted.
That's normal, no? We cannot, sabi nga lang, we cannot please everyone. Tuloy-tuloy lang namin gagawin yung aming trabaho professionally, diligently, and properly.
On the third day of the search, no new evidence was found. The PCG said the team will expand the search area beyond the initial Ground Zero site.
Lumipat na tayo from yung last na nakuha natin kahapon, no, na suspicious object. Nag-move tayo ng northeast, no, 10 meters northeast.
Because of the ongoing search, businesses dependent on the lake have been heavily affected, including the tawilis and tilapia industries in the town of Balete.
Nakaubos po kami ng 100 kilos sa isang araw. Eh ngayon po, mga 20. Minsan nga po, 10 kilo lang sa maghapon. Parang hina po, tumal po talaga. Nangaasahang iba, pagka wala pong isla, wala pong mga trabaho, kundi ganyan lang ang hanap buhay po.
Now for more updates on the ongoing search, we have PCG spokesperson Captain Noemi Cayabyab joining us today via phone. Good morning, Captain.
Yeah. Yes, good morning, Angela and Sir Angelo.
Alright, Captain, hingi lang po kami ng update so far doon po sa ongoing search and retrieval operations po ninyo dyan sa May Taal Lake.
Well, as of the moment po, nakadeploy na po yung ating mga team. So they are now currently conducting the diving operations. So sa nabanggit nga po ni Commodore Tevilla, no, so we are now extending from the day zero na ating search area. We are now moving 10 meters papunta po sa kanan para makover po natin lahat. Since yung day zero na location, it is the information that we receive from the link agency.
Yes, Captain, ano yung mga challenges na hinaharap ng mga divers natin at saka ng team nyo? Kasi I understand na medyo since sa lupa yung ilalim nitong Taal Lake, medyo murky daw yung tubig.
Yes, tama po dyan, Sir Angelo. So usually, nare-receive po natin mga feedback every day sa diving operation po natin is yung labo po talaga, yung visibility underwater. And then, of course, we cannot underestimate po yung alert level status na meron po ngayon yung Taal Volcano. Although we are maximizing po yung diving operations, lalo na po pag maganda po ang panahon at maganda rin po yung tubig na hindi masyadong malakas ang current. So ngayon po, dahil medyo mainit na rin sa area, yung heat stress sa ating mga technical divers, usually po nag-range po yung temperature sa ilalim po ng tubig, halos 30 to 32 degrees Celsius po. So normally, yan po yung kinakaharap natin, and sa pamunuan naman po ng Philippine Coast Guard ay buo naman po ang suporta sa lahat po ng kailangan ng ating technical divers.
Captain, can you also, perhaps can you also explain to us, ito po mga nababasa po namin sa mga reports na ang ginagamit daw po ninyong methods para po sa inyong ginagawang search and retrieval operation ay itong jackstray search. Can you explain that to us? And ito po ba yung gagamitin po ninyo throughout the search until matapos po kayo?
Yes. So, ito pong jackstay search, simula po nung aming day one, since we have an identified location, it's like 100 meters by 100 meters. So, para maging masinsin po yung ating pagsisid, so mostly kasi yung mga na-recover natin, mga sack, is within this area. So, gusto po natin na makita po talaga yung ilalim. That's why we are using this jackstay search po. Ito po yung pagkakaroon ng fixed line, straight line, na nagiging guide po ng ating diver. So mas safe and mas detailed at mas masinsin ang ginagawa pong diving operations ng ating mga diver dito.
Yes, Captain, yung mga sacks na nahanap, are they all identical or iba-ibang klaseng sacks? Kasi madaming, of course, hindi natin maiwasan, madaming mga netizens and mga viewers natin, medyo skeptical daw po because of all the gossip that's going around. Baka you can clear the issue.
Well, yung further verification as to the sacks, lalo yung characteristic, we have the SOCO naman po. So ang ginagawa naman po natin dyan, every diving operation, if I could just mention the process, and I believe that this is also a good opportunity para ma-explain po. So every diving operation, so sa ilalim po kasi, medyo malabo, so pinakapa natin yung mga bagay na parang suspicious. And again, this is a fish pond. So sa mga video po na nilabas po natin, may mga nakikita rin po kayong mga sack.
Yeah.
So there may be a probability na ang laman po nito ay feed, So kinakapa po natin yan, and once na may makita po na parang suspicious na bagay na pwede po makatulong, nilalagyan po natin yan tali and markings para magkaroon po tayo ng guide. And then we inform the lead agency and then the SOCO. And then once we get an approval to get or to retrieve the item, that's the time po na inaakyat natin. But then again, itong sako na po, hindi po natin alam kung gaano po siya katagal sa ilalim ng tubig.
Yes.
So may mga part na po doon sa butas at medyo nadudurog na po. So imagine po natin with the depth ng ating search area na halos 50 to 70 feet. At kung iaangat po natin yung butas na sako o sira na sako, may possibility po kasi na matatapon po yung laman. So again, our underwater retrieval of the evidences is not just an ordinary collecting of evidence. So iniiwasan po natin na may matapos, and we wanted to preserve the integrity. Etong mga sako na suspicious na maiangat po natin ng kompleto. That's why we are putting the fine mesh net to support habang inaakyat po natin. And once na dumating po siya sa surface, meron naman pong nakaantabay na dyan na mga SOCO, and we automatically and immediately turn over itong na-retrieve po natin just to ensure na na-observe po natin yung chain of custody of evidence.
So para clear lang, Captain, so pag may sack in question dito na nakikita ng mga divers natin, hindi muna inaangat. Kumbaga parang rini-report muna sa taas kung dapat ba iangat. Tama ba yun, Captain?
Yes, tama po. At minamarkahan po natin yung location. Meron po tayo mga floating device dyan na once we identified itong suspicious object na ito, lalagyan po natin siya ng tali at meron pong floating device sa taas po, yung water surface. Kasi kasama po yung coordinates o yung location kung saan po natin nakita o makukuha itong mga materials na ito. So ganun po ang ginagawa po. At hindi po siya kaagad, and there should be a presence of the SOCO para yung proper documentation po ng lahat na impormasyon na makukuha po natin dito.
Well, Captain, while we understand po yung circumstances ng mga possibly na mga evidences under the water na inaangat po natin, hence yung paggamit po ninyo ng mga mesh, pero ang isa po sa sinasabi daw po dito ni Dr. Fortune, if I'm not mistaken, yung paglatag din ng mga supposedly possible evidences sa lupa, na bakit daw po nilatag ng gano'n na possible makontaminate yung evidence.
Yes, tayo naman po, we all noted yung mga comments and observation, and that's why we are very particular po ngayon pagdating po sa retrieval and turnover po ng ating mga evidences. It is a goal of the government approach po. Lahat po ng ating search area, meron po dyan mga presensya ng iba't ibang ahensya na kasama po natin sa operation na ito.
And what do you have to say po dun sa mga taong nagko-question whether the evidence is being planted dito po sa nagiging operation ng PCG?
Well, nabanggit nga ni Commodore Tevilla that we cannot please everyone, no? And nakakalungkot yung ganito mga speculations considering with the everyday challenges ng ating mga divers, no? Yung risk in every dive. So tayo po, kasama po atong lead agency, ang Philippine Coast Guard po ay katulong ng DOJ na makapagbigay po ng hustisya at katotohanan, lalo na po sa mga pamilya po nito mga missing sabongeros. Kaya naman po rest assured at sisiguraduhin po ng inyong Philippine Coast Guard na ang bawat pagkasagawa ng diving operation ay tapat at patas at we always observe this professionalism in every diving operation that we conduct.
And Captain, how much longer pa po yung nakikita niyong possible na itatagal nitong operation ninyo?
Yeah, we cannot say as of the moment, Sir Angelo, itong tagal or duration natin. Kasi as of the moment, we are continuously conducting the diving operation hanggang may nakukuha po tayo. At habang wala pong anumang impormasyon o direktiba na ihinto itong operation po natin, ang Philippine Coast Guard po, simula pa naman po ng pagkakaanunsyo ni Secretary Remulla, ay nakahanda na po tayo. So as of now, ongoing po ang ating mga diving operations just to support this undertaking of the lead agency.
Para lang din po clear sa ating mga viewers po, Captain, na kanino po ngayon, kanino po tinurn over, I believe this is a collaboration po kasi ng iba't ibang ahensya itong operasyon na to, but kanino po tinurn over ng PCG itong possible evidences to determine kung ito nga po ay human bones or another trash under the water?
Yes, lahat po ng objects and materials o yung eto mga sacks po na na-recover po natin, lahat po yan ay turned over na po natin sa SOCO. So pagdating po sa surface, water surface, we automatically and immediately turn over po sa SOCO. And then they are verifying and processing ito pong laman na nakuha po natin.
Meron po ba silang binigay na timeline or target date na maibigay po yung possible sagot po, no, tugon doon sa evidence na ito?
As of the moment, Ma'am Angela, wala pa po kaming na-receive na anumang information kung gaano po tatagal itong pag-verify po ng mga na-turnover po natin.
Ito po, lastly, Captain, yung paggamit po ng ROV o itong remotely operated vehicle, ilan po yung gagamitin natin na ito at ilang areas na po yung paggagamitan nito, if ever?
Yes, Ma'am Angela, we will be anticipating the arrival of this underwater remotely operated vehicle ngayong araw. So malaki po ang maitutulong nito sa operation ng Philippine Coast Guard. With the limitation nung lalim na kaya po nating i-dive, so ito pong ROV natin has the capacity to see yung lake bed up to 1,000 feet. So medyo magiging magaan po ang magiging operasyon po natin. And since ito may camera at may operator po, at gumagalaw rin po, so it can move left, right, and then back, forward. So mas malaki po ang makukover nating area. And aside to that, yung operating hours, since our technical divers can only operate up to 1.5 hours, etong ROV has the capacity up to 4 hours po. So mas malaki po ang magiging improvement pagdating po sa diving operations natin.
Captain, speaking of operating hours, meron po bang nagbabantay or nagsisecure nung area kapag ka po walang operations or search retrieval operations na ginagawa ang PCG doon sa area?
Yes po. Actually, sa staging area po natin, no, andyan po yung Philippine National Police, andyan po yung Coast Guard, we provide a security personnel, particularly dun po sa search area natin. So iniiwasan po natin na merong lalapit na maaaring makasira po ng integridad ng ating search area.
And lastly, Captain, as of now, do you have any idea, if ever, na may mga new sacks na markahan na kahit hindi pa ho naaahon?
As of the moment, sa ating pag-uusap, Sir Angelo, ay wala pa po tayong natatanggap. Ongoing pa po ang diving operations. We will check po this afternoon once we receive the complete report from our divers.
All right. Thank you very much, PCG spokesperson, Captain Noemi Kayabyab, for joining us today on our program.
Alright, whistleblower Julie Patidongan, also known as Totoy, will file counter charges against businessman Atong Ang, who earlier accused him of several crimes including coercion, slander, and incriminating innocent persons. Patidongan, a former employee of Ang, said He is ready to respond to the allegations and submit his own complaint this week. In addition, Patidongan will file a separate affidavit with the NAPOLCOM against police officers allegedly involved in the disappearance of cockfighting enthusiasts. Patidongan claimed the number of victims exceeds 100, well beyond the 34 officially listed. Mahaba-haba pa itong operation nila. Hindi na nila masabi kung gaano tatagal itong operation nila. But they started this last Thursday and from then on, they have recovered 5 sacks already. Pero yun nga, they have yet to confirm kung ano ba talaga laman nung ano na yun. Kasi maaaring, di ba yung isa sa mga claim ata ni Totoy, nasunog di ba? Kasi yung nakita natin sa sack, maliliit, ano ba, chinap-chop ba ito, etc. Yun ang hindi pa natin ma-confirm as of the moment.
Tsaka klaro naman sa after our interview in the chain of command, no, na ang role ng the Coast Guard is
Iahon lang.
Kaya wag nila i-question, wag daw sana sila i-ano sa politika na nagpa-plant daw sila because the moment daw na iahon nila, it transfers to another entity which is the SOCO. So may chain of command, di ba? Kung nagkamali daw sila sa pinatungan pag-aahon, parang now they're adjusting it na daw, di ba? Kasi initially, nung nag-aahon sila, these divers naman are not trained sa mga SOCO matters, di ba? Or chain of evidence matters. Basta they're trained to retrieve.
Yeah. Pero sana, before they did this operation, merong may proper briefing from concerned authorities like SOCO o PCG, hindi kami magda-dive dito pag nag-dive kayo, ganito gawin nyo kasi para maiwas yung
Pero feeling ko it's easier said than done. Dapat role ng SOCO yon na nakalatag na kung saan babagsak ang evidence because these divers, you have to remember, have their own problems to attend to. Number 1, naka-alert status ang Taal volcano. Number 2, yung temperature na binanggit ni Captain ng tubig. Medyo mataas ang temperatura, very warm. Tapos nakita mo yung water, green and brown, very murky.
Oo,
so,
walang makita.
madami silang iniisip. Diba? They're focusing on section by section looking at the lake. So, pag iahon nyo, may sumalubong sana at tumanggap at sila
From
ang
SOCO.
magpatong. Diba? So, hindi natin masisisi ang Coast Guard dito because ang responsibility ng turnover nasa SOCO to
Or
receive
I
it
guess,
properly.
proper communication as well on the side of PCG. Nung inahon nila yung unang sako, teka, may disclaimer na agad. Ito, nilagay namin yan dito kasi kung iangat namin without the support, malalaglag lang yung evidence. Sayang lang naman. Kasi yun yung unang-unang nakita sa mga report. Kaya nagkaroon ng parang mga agam-agam yung mga kababayan natin.
Well, kasi yung orientation naman talaga ng Coast Guard
Yeah,
is just to dive into matters of securing the
That's
coast.
why kaya
So,
di ba it's a collaboration na ng mga different agencies. You have SOCO, you have CIDG, you have NBI.
o di role ng SOCO
You
yun.
have, what else? DOJ.
Sa part ng Coast Guard, tapos na sila. Inahon na nila Yung
Of
sasalubong...
course, syempre sa side niya, dapat meron din silang responsibility.
Meron
Not,
nga.
hindi
No,
ako nagbe-blame.
I'm saying,
this is a lesson learned from them as well.
No, pag iahon mo, may sasalubong dapat na SOCO na maayos. That's the role of SOCO to make sure that the Coast Guard will follow kung anong guidelines sila. So
But
hindi
I also
hindi
want to
role ng
know-
Coast Guard 'yon.
I also want to know from Dr. Fortune, kasi siya lang naman dalawa lang sila dito mga forensics natin, kung ano yung maaring makontaminate underwater. Kasi let's say for example, yung mga fingerprints na yan, di ba ang tawag doon? Nawawash na siya underwater.
I don't think they're looking for fingerprints naman. They're looking
ano pa mga
DNA.
evidence yung po pwedeng
Ang
makontaminate?
DNA kasi hindi na contaminate
Yun.
no matter what happens. So ang importante, makukuha sila ng DNA match. Alright, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno is presenting suspects of heinous crimes to the media and the public. Let's get the details from Mobile Journal. Denise Valdesancho live from Manila City Hall. Denise, go ahead.
Good morning, Angela, Jego. Yes, 5 suspects were presented here today inside the Manila City Hall, of which isa dyan for homicide, meron din for murder, and we have rape and acts of lasciviousness. And may isa dyan, Manila na chairman na charged with illegal discharge of firearm. Isa sa mga nakausap natin, yung medyo naging mainit na usapin yung isang 68-year-old na nagtudi ng bata at it resulted into homicide. At nakausap din natin yung panig nung magulang nung batang pumanaw, at ang inigit nung suspect ay Siya naman daw ay lisensyadong midwife. Siya naman daw ay nag-train sa pagtutuli. But it resulted into the seizure nung bata. Nung sa side naman nung magulang, ito raw suspect nagpakilalang doktora. May sariling clinic dun sa bahay, kinulang sa examination, and then a few minutes after matapos magtuli, ito na raw yung nangyari, no, seizure, and ang lumabas doon sa ospital, nagkaroon ng hemorrhage. Yung isa naman, Diego and Angela, medyo mainit na usapin yung illegal discharge nga ng firearm chairman, dahil nga nagsasagawa raw ng clearing operations, and suddenly may mga residente na nakaaway. Nung nag-uusap na, no, nung sinusubukan mag-areglo, medyo naging mainit yung residente towards the chairman. Ang ginawa ni chairman bilang act of self-defense, meron daw siyang lisensyadong firearm, pinatok niya daw 3 times sa sahig. But ngayon, meron siyang attorney, tinitingnan pa nila kung ano mangyayari sa korte. Yan ang latest dito.
Denise, can you clarify with us yung itong pagsuko itong pag-present, no, rather ni Manila Mayor Isko Moreno nitong mga suspects in different cases. Sila ba ay sumuko muna kay Mayor or hinuli muna sila and then ipinresent ni Mayor or the other way around?
Hindi nilinaw no, ng MPD, pero kasi parte siya ng programa or ng pag-ikting ng Manila Mayor Isko Moreno ng kriminalidad dito sa Manila. May mas naghihigpit at mas better ang ginagawang programa ng Manila Police District sa panghuhuli ng mga naging suspect o mga hinahanap na suspect, most of which mga most wanted yan sa mga kanya-kanya nilang distrito, kanya-kanyang barangay. For example, yung mga wanted nga na suspect. Pero neto lang, no, Angela and Diego, balikan natin, may mga ilang suspect. Then, pang-ilan na to sa mga suspects na iprenesenta ni Manila Mayor Isko Moreno. Ang ilan sa mga suspect that past day, sila mismo yung sumuko. Kaya may mga ganong pangyayari ngayon sa pagigting nila ng anti-criminality and for the safety of a better Manila. Yan ang sabi nila.
Denise, moving forward, may plano ba si Yorme na ituloy-tuloy yung ganitong kalakaran? Kasi ang hinaing ng iba, suspect pa naman daw yan, hindi pa naman guilty, but pinapakita daw sa public.
Oo, tuloy-tuloy. Hindi raw matatapos. Ang palaging mantra dyan, no, ng nila Mayor Isko Moreno, hindi natutulog. 24/7 action man, at kanina lang in his own words, talagang sinabi niya na may gobyerno na sa Maynila. So tuloy-tuloy itong pagpupresenta, paghuhuli sa mga suspect o kung sino mang pasaway na tinatawag niya sa Maynila. Kanina nga lang, no, even the residents dun sa kaso or dun sa case ni chairman ng Manila, even the residents wag daw pasaway. Talagang pinagsabihan din ng mga residente na makipagtulungan tayo sa gobyerno, and even on the side of politicians, the government, makipagtulungan sa mga residente.
Denise, I also want to clarify also dun sa issue naman yung tuli case dun sa bata, no, 'di ba? Itong kumadrona allegedly na nagpanggap na doktor. Siya ba ay sumuko din kay Mayor Isko Moreno o nahuli siya?
Siya ay
Kasi nagtatago siya for 2
2
months, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, for 2 months na wala siyang kaalam-alam. Nakapunta pa nga raw siya dun sa may libing, tapos nasabihan siya na meron siyang kaso. Pero ang iginigiit niya talagang yung lidocaine na ginamit, standard na gamit yon for procedures ng pagtutuli. At sadyang nung lumabas doon sa ospital, ang resulta, naging hemorrhage. So right now, pinoproseso pa rin tinitingnan pa rin ano ba talaga yung nangyari. Pero yun nga, nung narinig natin yung panig nung magulang nung bata, may mga ganito palang pangyayari na nagsabi na siya doktor, merong sariling clinic sa bahay, sinulang sa medical examination sa pagkuha ng history, and in a span of just a few minutes, no, matapos ng mismo nung pagtutuli, yun na ang kinalabasan, nag-seizure na yung bata.
Finally, Denise, ano na yung kakahinat na nito after ng presentation sa office si Mayor Isko Moreno? Ano na mangyayari dito sa mga suspects na ito? And ano daw yung goal nitong presentation ng mga suspects na ito?
Angela, ito may mga kaakibat kaninang mga police, syempre the Manila Police District, sila yung nagpo-proseso ngayon kung anong gagawin sa mga suspects dahil nga, syempre we have to clarify, these are still suspects, everything's still undergoing process. The chairman, meron siya sariling attorney. So right now, hanggang ngayon, syempre iniingatan pa rin nila yung itong mga suspect dahil hindi pa naman ito confirmed, hindi pa naman ito napoproseso sa korte. So ngayon, for now, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno wants to show, syempre sa mga taga-Maynila na meron na tayong gobyerno, meron na naghihigpit na tayo para makita nila na Manila is gonna be safer again, in his own words.
Alright, maraming salamat. Mobile Journal, Denise Valdesancho live from Manila. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Several nations reaffirm their support for our sovereignty over the West Philippine Sea 9 years after the arbitration ruling against China. Mobile Journal Merimon Reyes reports.
In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration ruled in favor of the Philippines for the China Southwest Philippine Sea. However, the journey towards sovereignty remains difficult, which is why on the 9th anniversary of the arbitral award, Stratbase, in partnership with the Australian Embassy in the Philippines, held a conference tackling the importance of international law. According to Professor Victor Dindomanhit, the growing international support for the Philippines is a strong affirmation of the global commitment to a rules-based order and peaceful resolution of disputes, done not through coercion but through mutual respect for international law.
The Philippines' decision to pursue arbitration years ago, in that very principle, it was never about asserting dominance. It was about reaffirming that global rules exist to safeguard the rights of all states. That is why we continue to call for the full respect of international law.
The 2016 ruling clarified critical truths that China's so-called nine-dash line, as well as any claims to so-called historic rights or to legal rights derived from Chinese designated island groups, have no legal foundation.
Japan strongly opposes such attempts that threaten regional peace and stability. We also remain seriously concerned about the claims that are not consistent with the UNCLOS.
Like-minded nations affirmed their support to the country's arbitral award, while throughout the afternoon, diplomats, defense officials, policy experts, and academicians gathered to tackle the strengthening of the Philippines' defense posture and how to enhance regional security cooperation through continued joint exercises, enhance interoperability, especially open communication. The importance of educating the public on growing issues at sea was also highlighted, with a sneak peek of the award-winning documentary about the fishermen in the West Philippine Sea entitled Food Delivery. According to its director, the battle continues outside the territorial waters.
Because for them, the sea is not just a geopolitical issue. It is not a headline, it is home. And home is always worth defending. The fight for the West Philippine Sea isn't only fought on the water, it's also fought through education, braver principled diplomacy, and storytelling.
Mobile journalist Merimon Reyes, we are One News.
The United States has renewed its call for China to respect the 2016 arbitral ruling. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio condemned Beijing's continued defiance, saying its actions violate the rights of neighboring countries and threaten peace and stability in the region. China previously dismissed the ruling as nothing but a piece of waste paper. The landmark decision invalidated China's so-called nine-dash claims and upheld the Philippines' sovereign rights and jurisdiction over the West Philippine Sea.
Grabe, 9 years na pala since the arbitral
Ruling.
July yun eh, July 12 if I'm
Last
not
hora
mistaken.
ni nila Pino yun.
Oo.
Nag-transition yung ruling into I think it was the first week of office ni FERRD.
If I remember it correctly, the delegation consists of sila Senator Laila de Lima, Justice Carpio, sila Abigail Valte,
DFA, what's his
Del
name?
Rosario,
Del Rosario.
Albert Del Rosario. Yan
yes.
yung mga, ang tawag nila mga Avengers daw sa West Philippine Sea arbitration ruling. Pero yun nga, what else can we do to make sure na we are exercising our rights dun sa ating jurisdiction? And also, para daw ma-recognize ang China din. But as of now, since you mentioned also dun sa report kanina, sinabi nga ng China, at di nila nare-recognize ito, this is just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Diba? So,
Waste paper.
Other advocates would say na mag-file ng mga arbitration cases against them. And kung hindi nila to nare-recognize, at least other countries now are recognizing yung award na binigay sa
Saka
atin.
tinatanong ng taong bayan, ba't pa tayo file ng even diplomatic protest? Wala naman, di mo nakikinig
Yeah.
sa China.
Parang 200
Kasi
plus na yun
ang rationale behind this is to put it on record na protesta natin yung specific action in question. Kasi
That it happened.
Yeah,
diba?
kasi kung hindi mo po finaila ng isang protest, ng isang action ng neighboring country mo, in the future, if you plan to take it up to the UN or any of the international courts, hindi ka naman nagreklamo sa araw na yun eh. You're not on the record. Kumbaga, parang nag-blatter ka. Di ba? May nangyari gulo sa barangay mo, mag-blatter ka sa police. On the record siya.
Right. So, yun nga sinasabi nila na kasi kung hindi mo yun na final, parang it didn't happen at all, di ba? So, yun ang ating mga, of course, syempre yung commemoration, yung pag-alala dito sa arbitral ruling natin, very important to us, of course, as well as the stakeholders dyan, yung mga mangingisda and yung mga Coast Guard na everyday na nandiyan dyan ngayon. What I want to know also is paano natin magagawa, mamaintain yung BRP Sierra Madre natin dyan that we all know dilapidated na ngayon, rusty na. And nagkakaroon nga tayo ng problema dun sa pag-deliver lang ng mga pagkain dun sa ating mga naka-station doon. Yung pa kayang mag-deliver ng mga construction materials, yan ang hindi daw inaalaw ng China.
Para ma-repair.
Oo. Alright, in other news, the government has suspended the licenses of the manning agencies responsible for deploying crew to the 2 ships that were attacked by Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. Here's a report.
11 more Filipino crew members from the MV Magic Seas, which was attacked by Houthi rebels in the Red Sea on July 6, arrived home in the Philippines over the weekend. Earlier, the first batch of 6 Filipino crew members from the same ship had already returned home. Like the first group, the returning seafarers will receive financial assistance from the agency and undergo health checks. Meanwhile, search and rescue operations are still ongoing for the remaining Filipino crew members of the MV Eternity Sea, which was also recently attacked by Houthi rebels. So far, 8 out of 21 Filipino seafarers have been rescued. There are reports that 3 may have died, but according to the DMW, these reports remain unconfirmed.
Meron pong unconfirmed reports, no? Aalamin po natin ito sa mga kababayan po nating na-rescue na 8, oras na makausap natin sila. 3 po yung sinasabi sa news na meron po tayong kababayan na namatay doon po sa barkong MV Eternity Sea.
The DMW has not disclosed the exact location of the rescued crew due to security reasons, but arrangements are already being made for their repatriation.
So sila po ngayon ay kasalukuyan nating inaasikaso. Nasa kamay po sila ng mga rescuers at sila po ay papunta na sa isang safe na port para sa eventual facilitated repatriation mula po sa Red Sea pabalik po ng Pilipinas.
Authorities remain hopeful that the remaining missing seafarers are still alive.
Malakas po ang ating paniniwala na sila ay buhay pa dahil yung mga kasamahan nila nga mahigit 48 hours na nag-survive doon, napalutang-lutang at sila nga ay naisalba at harinawa yung karamihan na nawawala ay maisalba po din natin.
For now, the DMW has suspended the licenses of the manning agencies responsible for deploying crew to the 2 ships. The agency said it had previously warned against sailing through the Red Sea due to ongoing attacks in the area.
Hindi na po natin pinayagan silang bigyan ng karapatan para mag-deploy pa ng seafarer. Kasama na rin dito yung principal at yung enrolled na ships.
The agency says it remains on high alert following the twin attacks in the Red Sea involving Filipino seafarers. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, We Are One News.
Yan ang keyword dyan search and rescue. Habang word rescue, malaki
May
pa. andyan.
pag-asa pa.
May pag-asa pa.
Oo.
Kasi pag usually, pag may mga evidence na on the part of yung mga rescue team na wala na, they shift from rescue to the word retrieval. Oo.
Pero yun nga yung sinasabi ng United States Mission, meron silang allegation na yung ibang nawawala, supposedly na kidnap ng mga rebels. na
kinuha.
ito. But there's no confirmation yet, no? So, well, kasi sabi na they're demanding the release of the supposedly na kidnap na mga tao kung totoo nga na nakidnap sila. But we have yet to confirm that information. But then again, yun nga, itong mga ibang kababayan natin na nakauwi na dito ay will get assistance from the government through the Action Fund ng DMW.
Yeah.
And of course, aside from monetary assistance, meron sila dyan yung mga psychological debriefing. Kasi can you imagine yung nangyari sa yung pag-atake sa kanila dyan, and hindi naman biro yun. But of course, also, titignan din natin yung kung is this going to be parang trigger factor, kung catalyst, kung talagang mag-ban na muna ang Pilipinas sa pagpapadala ng mga seafarers doon sa area na
Gulf
yun.
of Aden, tsaka Red Sea.
Kasi this is not the first time that it happened. Although, yun nga, may kapabayaan yung manning agency at of course yung barko, 'di ba? Dahil hindi nga daw sila nagbigay ng proposed plan or route nila going to the
Actually,
to the
even before the Iran-Israel conflict, Israel-Palestine pa lang yung nagkakaroon na ng issue sa Gulf of Aden tsaka Red Sea. Pinag-usapan na ito na, teka lang, ano ba magiging protocol natin dito? Bakit naglalayag pa ang mga ibang boat dito? Pero at your own risk daw, kung gusto mo sumama sa biyahe, at your own risk. Pero ngayon na nag-escalate, sumama ng Iran, together with yung Palestine conflict, sabi, they're thinking about, a word was thinking about mga ibang angulo or ibang rulings na pwede gawin to secure yung mga Filipino seafarers natin.
Tsaka dapat itong mga seafarers natin na naligtas dyan sa insidente na yan ay mabigyan din sila ng kumbaga proper information na ito dapat yung ginagawa ninyo, or halimbawa kung nandito na kayo tas dapat hindi na kayo bumalik doon. 'Di ba? Ang hirap kasi ng paulit-ulit na lang ng alam mo 'yon, 'di ba, yung government resources din, of course yung pinag-uusapan din natin dito. At syempre importante yung kaligtasan nila. So hopefully nga pag nakaalis na sila, na rescue sila, na ibalik sila dito sa Pilipinas, wag na silang bumalik doon. While we understand yung hirap no na wala kang trabaho dito sa Pilipinas, but of course syempre importante pa rin yung buhay mo, 'di ba? Kesa dun sa kikitain mo. And yun nga, dahil nga sinasabi natin dito kanina, yung manning agencies and yung principal ng barko ay may kapabayaan dito dahil hindi nila binigay yung route plan nila prior to their sailing. So, yan yung mga nakikita nating kapabayaan. But we'll get in touch with the Secretary Leo Kakdak ng DMW para mabigyan pa tayo ng iba pang updates. Alright, in other news, the Philippine Embassy in Israel has confirmed the passing of Leia Mosquera, a 49-year-old Filipina caregiver who was critically injured in an Iranian missile strike in Rehovot last June 15. After nearly a month of intensive care and multiple surgeries at Shamir Medical Center, Mosquera succumbed to her injuries on the morning of July 13. The embassy is now facilitating the repatriation of her remains and providing assistance to her family. It also renewed its call for the protection of civilians, particularly migrant workers caught in conflict zones.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Classes will shift to modular or online learning whenever a signal number 2 storm is raised. That was announced by Education Secretary Sonny Angara. According to Angara, this is part of the Education Department's new policy aimed at minimizing class disruptions during bad weather. He added that this will ensure that students can continue learning safely at home.
Sana maklaro lang yun kung kung public lang ba sakop niyan?
Oo nga.
Or kasi, siyempre, the private sector, mga students, they also wanna know. Kasi nahihirapan sila, nag-aabang sa Facebook o sa radyo o or sa news every morning na may ulan, papasok pa ba ako?
Tsaka
Hindi.
maigi yung sinasabi na modular learning kasi yung iba, sabi
Suspension
online class. Kasi yung iba, affected ng bagyo o ng ulan, hindi
online.
makakapag-online yun, di ba? Like, mismo yung mga teachers, yun din na nagiging problema nila na
Oo, correct.
hindi sila makapag-online kasi number one, walang internet, walang kuryente, or binaha yung bahay nila.
Yes, that's right.
Yun yung mga factors that they should consider.
All right. Let's get some updates from the Migrant Workers Department.
As we were talking earlier about the issue of our seafarers, we have Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak joining us via Zoom. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Secretary. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat, sa inyong mga tagapakinig dito.
Secretary, I know you're so busy today, but thank you po for taking our call. Hingi lang po kami ng update doon po sa search and rescue operation for seafarers aboard Eternity Sea and yung pong mga nakauwi po dito sa atin ng mga OFW.
Yes, sa ngayon, what I could say is the aid rescue have arrived in safe port and are now being processed for disembarkation. I cannot disclose the location and the timelines. I hope you understand for security reasons. But at this stage, rest assured that they are safe and that they soon will be inland and will be flying home. So that's as much as I could say. Our joint DFA and Department of Migrant Workers teams are on hand to assist them until they come home safely.
All right. Secretary, yung mga
For the rest of the 13 who are still unaccounted for, that we are looking at the possibility of a further search that will happen because the search was had to be disrupted due to Houthi threats in the area. But we are still finding ways to find those who could possibly be in the water.
Okay.
And as for those who could be possibly with the Houthis, then the DFA is working on this matter.
Secretary, yung mga nakauwi na po, ano pong assistance ang i-provide sa kanila?
Yung mga nakauwi na, we will provide financial assistance and a whole of government assistance as directed by the President. We are in partnership with the DFA, of course, and the DOH, the DSWD, the TESDA, and the Department of Transportation, providing whole of government services to those who are returning, and we will continue to do so with the remaining seafarers.
Secretary, dun po sa mga unaccounted pa, dun pa po sa mga hinahanap natin, are we also looking at the possible angle na sila po ay nakidnap or dinala po nitong mga umatake po sa kanilang barko?
Yes, that's the Houthis. That's the Houthi matter, which currently we know that the DFA is helping us out with. The Houthis have of course put out a statement, and there was a counter statement by the United States Embassy in Yemen. If we are confirming the matter on the Houthis holding some or several of the Eternity Sea crew.
Secretary, I'd just like to clarify, yung pag-deploy po ng seafarers natin sa Red Sea, was that illegal?
Yes, because what happened was there is a mandatory reportorial requirement. It is a regulated activity on the part of our seafarers, and no such reports happened. And in fact, based on our findings, initially we thought that the ship had traversed the Red Sea twice, but actually 3 times. And in all 3 cases, there were no reports of whatever nature. There are requirements for risk assessment and maritime escorts and armed guards on board, none of which were ever given. Of course, the matter on whether or not the seafarers themselves had been given a chance to decide whether to board the ship. These two have not been provided to us. So the compliance with the regulations is one thing, and therefore, from our point of view, penalties are forthcoming to both the managing agency and the principal.
Are we also looking at the possibility dun sa isa po sa mga penalty nila ay tanggalan na po sila ng lisensya?
Yes.
Okay. Opo. Also po, ano po yung mga... Are we also looking at the possibility, Secretary, na talagang total ban of deploying mga seafarers dun po sa area?
Yes, we are also looking into this matter. We are coordinating with the department. Under DMW law, we should be getting a security assessment from the DFA. We also asked for such a security assessment from the DFA. So once all the facts, the details are in, then we will decide accordingly.
Well, thank you so much, Secretary, for your time. We know you're so busy, but thank you so much for taking our call. And we will continue to get in touch with you for more updates. Maraming salamat po, DMW Secretary Hans Leo Cacda.
All right, South Korean actor Park Seo-joon received a rousing welcome from thousands of Filipino fans during his much-anticipated fan meet at the Araneta Coliseum on Saturday. During the event, Seo-joon shared his appreciation for Filipino fans and expressed excitement about returning to the Philippines. The event featured interactive segments including games with actress Ann Curtis, a sushi-making session, and a heartfelt one-on-one moment with a lucky fan. Seo-joon also revealed his wish to explore more destinations in the Philippines. His Manila visit is part of his ongoing tour across Asia.
Bye-bye, Philippines. I'm Seven Park. I'm so happy to be here. Let's make a great time. Thank you.
A young software developer has created an app that tracks the arrival and departure of LRT and MRT trains. Para bigyan ng mukha ang balita, Mobile Journal, Jazz Paredes.
Matalas ka rin bang nagmamadaling makasakay ng tren dahil baka matagal pa yung susunod? Sino more than may app na magsasabi sa'yo ng estimated arrival time ng next train?
Suki ng LRT1 at MRT3 ang 23-year-old software developer na si Josh. At araw-araw, challenging para sa kanya ang matsyempohan ng eksaktong pagdating ng tren. Kaya naisipan niya magpa-poll sa social media para sa kanyang next project.
Ask people who commutes as well if pare-pares ba kami ng nararamdaman. So, gumawa ko ng Instagram poll. Sabi niya, ano yung mga nararanasan yung problema sa MRT, LRT? Most of them is the time. Paano malalaman if delayed yung tren, if kailan dadating yung tren.
Mula sa responses, kinumpara niya ang paraan ng pagkakommute sa Pilipinas at ng ibang bansa.
If you travel to Singapore, when you open Google Maps, you'll see the exact estimation of buses, trains, just for looking at the map. So what if we had something similar to the Philippines, but we have like an actual app for it? So we can see the exact estimation.
Dito niya sinimulang i-develop ang Rush PH na kanyang nilaunch noong May 20. Isang web-based mobile first app na kayang itrack ang arrival time ng mga tren sa LRT1, LRT2 at MRT3 sa tulong ng crowdsourced reports. Simple lang daw gamitin ang app. I-type sa browser ang rushph.com, i-allow ang location permission, pindutin ang station ng tren na sasakyan at dito makikita na ang estimated time of arrival o ETA ng tren pa southbound at northbound.
I built Rush PH in the first place is to be accessible for everyone, even with the older demographic, even for the people who doesn't understand tech really well. Feeling ko mas maraming makakatulong kasi kapag mas simple yung app.
Ang app ni Josh nakuha ang atensyon ng DOTR at sabi pa mismo ni Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon, malaking tulong daw ang Rush PH sa commuters.
Nakakatuwa na yung mga kababayan natin, lalo na yung mga bata, nakakaisip ng mga ganitong very innovative apps natin. And itong app na to na nagsasabi kung ano ang estimated time of arrival, departure, and ng mga tren natin, malaking tulong to.
Sa ngayon ay nasa 84% accuracy ang app. Siguradong mag-i-improve pa ito dahil tutulong na ang DOTR kay Josh upang i-develop pa ito.
Bibigyan natin ng access yung kanyang app sa actual command center ng MRT3 at yung LRT1 at LRT2 para mas maging accurate talaga yung kanyang application. And tutulungan din natin siya na mag-launch ito para magamit to as an app sa iPhone at sa Android.
Bukod sa improvement ng accuracy,
Plano din daw nila dagdagan ng features para magamit din sa EDSA busway.
Kalkulado man o hindi ang tagal ng pagbiyahe, huwag kakalimutang mag-ingat sa lahat ng oras. Mobile Journal, Just Paredes po, atid ang mukha ng balita.
TNT edged out San Miguel in a nail-biting Game 1 of the PBA Philippine Cup Finals with momentum swings and a controversial call in the final minute. Here's the report.
The tension is on in the finals Game 1 of the PBA Philippine Cup. TNT drew the first blood to beat San Miguel 99-96, squandering a 24-point lead. But controversies arose following a crucial call when San Miguel's Moto Tua pushed for a clutch slam with just 56.1 seconds left. The basket was later called off as basket interference.
Well, first of all, we expected it. We had no illusions that San Miguel would just roll and lay down. So we knew that they were going to mount a fight back, and we kept talking to our players about it during the break, during half timeouts. That's what happens against a team like San Miguel. When you give them an inch of opportunity, they're going to pounce on it. So.
RR Pagoy made an explosive return after missing 4 games in the semifinals, finishing with 23 points, 2 rebounds and 2 assists off the bench on 7 of 11 shooting. The Gilas Pilipinas women's absorbed a 76-point loss in their match against world number 2 Australia, 115-39, in both squads' first game of the 2025 FIBA Asia Cup Women's in Shenzhen, China. The ladies are now looking to bounce back in their next assignment on Monday, 7:30 p.m. against Japan. Ilagan City gets a taste of a Foxy sweep after the Farm Fresh Foxies beat Petrogas 25-23, 25-21, 25-23 in the 2025 PBL on tour. Trisha Tubu charged the team with 15 points, while player of the game Jolina De La Cruz added 12 points, improving their record to 2-1 in Pool A. The PLDT high-speed hitters remain flawless after overcoming a third-set hiccup to defeat Choco Mucho in 4 sets, 25-22, 25-16, 22-25, 25-17. Kiana D and Jovi Prado both produced 15 points for the team, while Kim Fajardo added 29 excellent sets. The Alas Pilipinas men settle for 4th place after a straight-set defeat from Indonesia, 19-25, 17-25, 17-25. This concludes their 2025 CV League first leg performance in Kandon, Ilocos Sur. Up next for the Nationals, the second leg of the CV League to take place in Jakarta, Indonesia this July 16-20. Mobile journalist Denise Baldesancho. We are One News.
And here's our quote for the day. The first to apologize is the bravest. The first to forgive is the strongest. The first to forget is the happiest. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.